Actually, I was recruited by some folks who I used to work with at a previous job. The fellow who was our CTO for a while, Chris Sullivan, he and a few other folks reached out and knew that they had a spot for need for an information security position, and we'd worked together in the past. And I figured I was working at a large financial institution, like one of the 5th largest banks, and great place to work, great people. Glacial pace of change, and I figured I liked the environment. Small startup, fast moving, get a chance to build something from the ground up. So once Chris and some of the folks reached out, went through some interviews, I figured this is going to be a good match, I thought. Organizational cybersecurity is a foundational requirement for any company that's dealing with public information or anything that can be considered confidential or sensitive, which is pretty much everybody anymore. It's a requirement for most of Performx's customers. That is, it's a requirement for their organizations and a requirement for anyone who's providing a service to them as well. Also, anybody who's collecting this sort of information, someone out there is going to want to try and take it from you. So it's valuable, it can be monetized. Anything that you're dealing with that has a value to someone else, someone will try and get at it, essentially. So everyone has to be prepared and have an organization-wide operation-ready security program to be in place. Threats in the market, threats to cybersecurity, actually haven't changed all that much. I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and the threats are essentially the same. Like I said earlier, it's you have something that someone else wants to take. It happens to be electronic in this case, so someone somewhere is going to figure out a way to do it. Now, how they're doing it has evolved a bit. Back when I started, there was still physical threat, someone tapping into coaxial cables. That was a thing a long, long time ago. Now it's more direct. The general approaches are the same. That is trying to compromise a flaw in technology, software. More often a flaw in the people. That's social engineering, phishing, things like that. That's the most successful way of getting into an organization. But the actual methods have evolved. The technology that's in use changes constantly. We keep track of it through professional organizations. There's a variety of organizations I work with through DHS, Department of Homeland Security, that provide information on what new threats are evolving, what threat actors, that is people, groups, organizations, things like that, are in operation and where and who they're targeting. So we keep track of it that way. But the technology itself is something that the technology they use is constantly evolving. On the upside, the bad guys have budgets just like we do. So they're going to target the low-hanging fruit, the flaws that are very pervasive. There was one recently that affected Exchange servers everywhere. So that was an example of, okay, well, that's a broad target base. It was something that was comparatively easy to execute. So that's where they'll go. We defend against it through our security program, which provides a broad variety of controls. In this case, the controls are around making sure our systems are properly maintained and that everyone has very strict access controls. People can only get access to those systems they need to. And we have multi-factor authentication at Performx required for access to any resource. So if you're not a Performx employee with the right authentication using a Performx machine, you can't actually get into any of our systems. I see Performx expanding our market base into different elements of insurance, not necessarily just life insurance, also things like annuities. The other thing I see us doing is making better use of all the data we gather. In improved analytics, helping our customers make better decisions, make better predictions going forward, not as opposed to helping them manage their book of business, helping them improve on the service they're providing to their customers, as well as helping them see what's coming better. Any organization that's going to entertain a service like PerformX is going to have a process that they follow to do due diligence, to make sure that the people they're handing their information over to are, have as good a security game as they do, preferably better. In our case, we're better than a lot of other ones, if I get to say that. A couple of things to look for are third-party certifications. So, for example, PerformX has the SOC 2 Type 2 certification. That is an audit, essentially, by a third party that says that the controls, security and administrative controls that we have in place are adequate and that we've implemented them effectively. SOC 2 is just one of them. ISO is another. There are a variety of other ones, but the key element is that someone other than the organization itself is certifying their own security, maturity, and performance.